listening to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Welcome to the Orchestra Teacher Podcast. Dr. Charles Laux, and I am here at her school with Miss Jessie Fuchs, and she is the orchestra director at Kell High School here in Cobb County, Georgia, just down the road from my school. And we got hired at the same time here in Cobb County, which was exciting. Yeah. And then, you know, obviously we started talking and chatting, and we're going to talk about our presentation that we're doing at the ASTA Conference here in March of 25. And it's going to be really fun. So, without further ado, thanks for being here, Jessie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I'm happy to.
Yeah, well, I'm here at your school.
Yeah, you're here. You made it easy for me, yeah.
But this is fantastic. First up, just tell us a little bit about you and your background. I know that you had some amazing teachers and pedagogues through your pedigree here. So tell us a little bit about all about you.
Yeah. So I am a product of Cobb County schools, actually. I graduated from Allatoona High School, so Jim Palmer was my orchestra director in high school. And he's really the reason why I wanted to teach orchestra.
He seems to do that to people.
Yeah, huge influence. Yeah. I think I was it was like the second half of my junior year of high school. I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. And I started thinking about what I loved and what brought me joy and what I was kind of good at. And I was like, orchestra. So I had a little bit of time to get ready for, my senior year, and when I needed to start applying and auditioning, and he helped me through that process. So I would not be here if it were not for Jim Palmer. So shout out.
I think that's probably. I think there's a lot of people out there that would say that, and he's just been influential for me too. He's person I want to be Jim Palmer when I grow up.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So if you don't know Jim, amazing guy, and just amazing teacher and very inspirational, and obviously led you to where you are today. So.
Yeah, and he's my colleague now, which is
fun.
Yeah, so after that, I ended up going to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, where I studied with Rebecca McLeod.
Another amazing person.
And she's now at University of Illinois.
Champaign.
Yes.
She moved over there.
So great training. When I was at UNCG, worked with her, and then I studied violin under Fabian Lopez, which he also was really influential in who I am as a teacher. 4 years there, and then I ended up moving back to the Atlanta area, and my first year teaching was in Henry County, so south of Atlanta.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
maybe I forgot that. Okay, that's south
of Atlanta, and I was actually at the time, because I had just graduated college, didn't really have much money. I was living with my parents, who still lived in Allatoona district, so I was commuting from Ackworth all the way down to Henry County.
And that's an hour and a half?
Yeah, it was an hour and a half without traffic.
Without traffic?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was not the best.
Atlanta traffic, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah. So, that was my first year teaching, and I wouldn't trade it for anything because I learned a lot.
Don't we learn? We learned. That first year is just, I owe a lot to my mentor the same way. Yeah. I had, I was the second teacher at a middle school out in Las Vegas, and it was just, had I not had her or that experience, it was shaped me so much.
Yes, it was kind of like learning by fire. Like I came into a program, and first year teacher is at a middle school. They had an orchestra teacher for a year, and then I was the next one, so I was the third orchestra teacher in the span of 3 years. So it was hard. But I ended up building a connection with those kids, and I loved them. However, the commute was miserable.
Right.
So that led me to searching up here.
Now, were you teaching at middle school at that point? Or
I
high school?
I was teaching middle school at that point. So my first teaching job was at a middle school. But I forgot to mention student teaching. I student taught with Kameen Hagigi in Greensboro. She's retired now.
Okay.
But she spent most of her career in the Greensboro school system, Guilford County, and she taught between two schools. So she taught between a middle school and a high school.
Okay.
So
you
when I did my student teaching, I got to do both.
Yeah.
I like both of them,
Sure.
But I always felt like I wanted to eventually get to the high school level.
Yeah.
So that was always kind of my goal.
Yeah.
But yeah, started middle school, and then the commute was just terrible at Henry County. But it was great. If the commute weren't so terrible, I probably would have stayed there.
It probably made a big difference. It
was great. So
is that a Title I school or was it?
I can't remember.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it had its set of challenges.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah, I taught in a trailer. I taught orchestra in a trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of friends that have done that. I've done some subbing in trailers before, and set of challenges there too.
Yes, especially when the roof leaks and
acoustics and lack of acoustics.
Yes, It was interesting, but again, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
But after that, I ended up getting the assistant orchestra position at Dodgen Middle School.
Right, and that's Ashley Cully is there. If you don't know Ashley, she's another kind of legend here in the Georgia area. Great cellist and
and I was there for 3 years with Ashley. Again, learned so much. I'm so thankful for those 3 years with her. She became a mentor, but also a friend, and I really enjoyed my time there. Got to get to know all the kids, and COVID. I spent COVID through the COVID years, was at Dodgen. But then the position at Kell opened up, and like I said earlier, high school getting to the high school level was always kind of a goal of mine. And this job opened up, and Ashley she opened Kell when it opened.
That's right.
So she still had some connections here, and she just reached out to the people here and were like, she's really great, and just gave a really great recommendation. And I came in for an interview, and it just felt right. It felt really good, really natural.
That's what you need. That's what it needs to do. Like you kind of know.
Yeah.
You kind of know when it's the right fit.
Yes, and I definitely could envision myself here, and I just really appreciated the questions that I was being asked, and
you can tell a lot about a position with the questions that you're asked.
Yes,
Like, okay, what do they really care about? What are they really thinking about? What's important to them, and how does that fit in with my philosophy?
Right.
Yeah.
And just school culture and like how the department works together, and it was checking all my boxes, and
good.
So it was really exciting, and then that it ended up working out, obviously. So this is my 3rd year here at Kell.
Yes.
So total. This is year 7 teaching for me.
Yeah. So you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
You're in it for good now.
Yes.
Yeah. It takes a lot of times. It takes people a few years to decide whether it's really for them. Because I know quite a few teachers who's they tried it for a year or 2 or 3 or maybe even 4, and then they're like, no, it's not for me. And sometimes it takes that long to figure it out and exactly what you want to do.
And it's not easy.
Well, no.
So I think that and you do need support in order for it to work. So in order for you to feel like it will work, you need support. And if it's not there, it gets really challenging.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I've been really lucky in the past 2 schools that it's been very supportive.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if you're ever in a situation where you're not supported, and there's probably a lot of listeners out there that are in that situation, there's several things you can do. You can deal with it and just do your thing and try to ignore as much as you can. But when it affects your day-to-day, that's when it gets really challenging and less desirable to want to go to work, because as music teachers we should want to go every day, and it's easy to say when you're in that situation that I guess you're in and I'm in, but I guess the other thing is let's see if you can outlast those administrators, because they fluctuate a lot. Or pick up and try to find another place to go. And that's kind of how it was for me at the university. It's like I liked it. I loved the people. I loved the kids. I didn't like the committee work. I did not like. There were certain things you just that made me less happy. So you just find the things that work for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us about your program here at Kell High School. how many students you have and how many orchestras you have and different things like that.
Yeah, so here at Kell, we have, our program is sitting around 97 students. It's grown, in the past 3 years.
Well, you're a smaller school.
We are a smaller
like the smallest school in...
We're not anymore,
okay,
actually.
Good.
So I think we're the second or third smallest school, but we are very small.
For a high school.
For a high school, yes. And compared to yours, for sure.
Yeah, we're about 2,000 now.
Yeah, we were sitting like 1,400, 1,500.
Okay, so that's a big difference.
Yeah, we're pretty small. But yeah, so 97 in the program. It's grown in the past 3 years, and that's kind of the trajectory.
Yeah, good.
Just making sure I'm making connections at the middle schools, and I can talk about that a little bit later, but because that makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have 3 orchestras. We are on a block schedule, so each class meets for about 90 to 120 minutes a day. Every day.
That is contact time. I'm very jealous.
Yes.
I'm very jealous.
Yeah.
Especially before we have our large group performance evaluation festival, whatever you want to call it, next week.
Yeah.
And I'm on the struggle bus, I gotta say, a little bit.
Yeah.
They're starting to pull through, but we have a couple rehearsals left. And that's
I think we're all feeling the pressure. It's very close.
It's that time of year.
So I have 3 orchestras. Meets first, second, and third period, so I go straight through, and then I have 4th period planning. My first orchestra is called Concert Orchestra, and it is mostly freshmen. And I just like to have all of my freshmen or incoming students. So I even have some upperclassmen who have moved in, from either different school systems or, different states who they're kind of just getting back into it. They'll go into concert orchestra.
Okay, sure.
So it's kind of just like the meeting point for all the new to the Kell orchestra.
Okay, cool.
And then from there, I have Sinfonia, which is my middle level group. It's non-auditioned, mostly 10th through 12th graders.
Okay.
I do have some freshmen that they can audition up for Sinfonia.
Okay.
So if they feel like concert orchestra is, they need that level up if they're in lessons. If they've been playing for more than the 3 years of middle school, then they'll usually audition up. And I have one student this year who did that.
Not a ton of kids, just
no. It's here and
select,
there. And usually the middle school teacher will say, "Hey, I have this student who, playing at this level, and I think that they could be a good candidate."
But not ready for your top.
But not ready for right.
Yeah.
And then I have my 3rd orchestra, which is my chamber orchestra, and it is a true chamber orchestra. There's 23 of them in that class.
Okay.
And that is audition only. And yes, where the mastery orchestra is what it's considered. But that's the only auditioned group. So yeah.
Very cool. I'm glad it's going well, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
So as we came into our school district together at the same time, we went to the orientation together that we had to do, and
that's right.
all that fun stuff that we have to do as newbies to this district. It was cool because we started talking and about people we knew, and then the connections that we have, and then started talking about our teaching. And over the last couple of years, we've bounced a whole bunch of ideas off each other.
Yep.
I think you've taken some of mine, and I've definitely taken some of yours. And that collaboration has been really cool. And then we looked at it like, well, we should probably be like thinking a lot more differently because we're you're 29 and you're 7.
Yeah.
And so we're several generations apart. However, we found that we had a lot of things in common, and the other thing was that for me, there's a lot of teachers in year 29 that are just going to be like, well, I got it down. I'm going over here. I got one foot ready for that retirement position, and then for a lot of the younger teachers are just really hungry to learn more. I like to think you are, but I'm one of the hungry old teachers, and so when we started talking, it was just fun because I was getting new ideas, and then I was kind of validating some of the things I do. It's like, I'm still semi-cool, like that kind of thing.
You are cool, Charles.
Oh, thank you. So we decided, hey, we should put this together and talk about the ways that we collaborate in the ways that we can compare and contrast our programs and our teaching strategies and our ideas. And so we put up like all these things together, some questions and some lists of things, and we put it in for ASTA, and we're going to present at ASTA.
Yeah,
so come to our presentation. We are presenting at ASTA on March 21st. It's the Friday of ASTA, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's the Friday.
At 11 a.m. And we're going to talk about some of the ways that we've been able to like collaborate. And not necessarily our kids collaborating so much. We're going to maybe do something.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's down the road.
Get our kids together.
But just the ideas and our teaching strategies and the way we think about things and the way we do things, and I think it'll be really exciting. So we're going to go through some of the guiding questions we have for our session. We're not going to give it away. This is just a little teaser today, right? You got to come to ASTA to come to our session. You have to come to ASTA
if you want all the.
But so the first one is like, what are some of the key challenges that both early and late, we're calling it early and late career orchestra teachers face? What are some of the things that you face as a newer teacher?
I think, and this is in our presentation, but I think the biggest thing, especially as a younger teacher still in the earlier years of the career, is just trying to find a balance of like work, life, family, friends, just finding a balance.
Yeah.
And right now I married my husband. He is a musician.
You married your husband? No, I'm kidding.
I married my husband.
Yeah.
He works for a nonprofit. He's a musician, but he's working, and he works predominantly from home.
Oh, okay.
So I have a very different schedule.
You don't work from home.
I don't work from home, and I think that a challenge is just finding the right balance of not overcommitting, and just making sure that I still have my personal life and friends and the things that I enjoy doing outside of work, and not trying to like put everything into work because I'm trying to get as much experience as possible, if that makes sense.
Right,
yeah. I've had trouble saying no to things, I guess is the sum of that.
Most people in our profession do that, at least at some point, I've definitely been guilty of that, and here and there, it's like I enjoy doing the podcast, and I do enjoy doing all these things, and sometimes it's like, ooh, I got to take a breather here. I got to take a breather. So I did that over the summer. Last summer, I didn't record anything, and then I came back in October. I think was the first time. So I took really summer and a lot of the fall off, and it was very refreshing. And then, so I think that is important. So when I was a young teacher, I worked a lot. I taught middle school. My first 7 years were in Las Vegas teaching in Clark County School District, and so I was teaching middle school all day. I was teaching private lessons like several nights a week. I was playing in the Las Vegas Philharmonic, and I was also teaching community college classes.
Yeah, that's like a lot.
Adjunct. And I was like, I just worked. I love all the experience I got, and I'll never. And I didn't have a family there. I didn't have kids. And, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it was easy.
Yeah, and I don't have kids right now, so it's like I have, my husband's at home, and then I have a dog, and so that's been challenging. But I also, I'm earlier in my career, and I felt like it was the right time to pursue a master's degree.
That's right, and you're doing that now.
So I'm also doing that. I'm doing my master's online in music ed through Georgia State. And
it's not online.
It is online.
Okay, but you have to go in sometimes.
But we don't have to physically go in, but it's like through Zoom.
So it's not asynchronous.
It's not asynchronous.
Yeah.
So it's still a time commitment.
For sure.
And then of course work on top of that. So it's like I've added that layer to my busyness. So that's also been
you have to balance that out, and obviously
that
the rewards you get from that, from the educational part, and then also the financial part, will be worth it when you're done.
Yeah.
But getting through it is a tough part.
It's tough. Yeah.
And how long is that program?
It's a 2-year program.
Okay.
So this is I'm a first year master's student, and so I'm second semester.
Okay.
So I'm in it. I'm in the thick
Do you
of
do
it.
the whole summer too?
No, so it's a traditional schedule.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
So
I'll
you'll
have
get that break
summers off.
then.
I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so you have this semester to finish and 2 more.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got
I
this.
know. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
For sure there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure
So
there
that's
is.
definitely just scheduling, just making sure I don't overcommit, and even though I want to do all the things, that's a huge challenge. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I guess thinking about later career, some of the challenges. Obviously, we're doing it a long time. So 29 years in, there's certain things like do I really want to do this again? You get into that phase. But for me, it's the new kids. The kids are always different, and they're not. The kids I'm teaching now are not the same kids I was teaching in year 1 in 1996. So for me, that's a huge motivator, just to keep going with those challenges of the kids. And obviously, new repertoire, I don't think I've played it all yet, So there's always new challenges with repertoire and being able to collaborate within your department. So those are some of the things that I enjoy doing, but I don't want to be that teacher that teaches for 30 years the same way.
Yeah. Well, and to add to that, I think on the other end of it, I think as a younger teacher, I sometimes, and I'm sure other younger teachers feel this way, or early career teachers, where you kind of second guess yourself. Am they doing it right?
I still second guess myself, right?
I feel like that kind of never goes away.
No, it doesn't. That's the imposter syndrome.
Yes,
it does not go away.
Syndrome,
and there's people I've talked to before. I'm like, I look up to this person.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I have that too. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So
makes you feel less
you're not
alone.
You're not alone. We all have that. But that's what it is.
Yeah.
We keep pushing forward. So that's just one example of some of the things we're going to talk about. There's other questions about how do early career teachers typically approach classroom management, and how does this compare to experienced teachers? Obviously, again, kids change. When I first started teaching, there were no cell phones in school.
Yeah.
And now it's we're dealing with that, and what are the policies? And I don't know.
Yeah, it's challenging. I think it's tough. It doesn't matter what stage in your career you are. I think that it's challenging across the board. I think that we are fortunate because we have orchestra kids, we get the best kids.
The best kids, yeah.
But I've had students who just and I'm sure you do too, that you just do not click, right? It's just
no matter what you do, you can't win them over.
You will not win them over, and
it's frustrating.
It is frustrating, and I've really had. So I think especially at the high school level, I've really had to just remind myself that it's not me, right? It's you can't take it personally,
No.
and So I think we always have struggles with that, but
and I think. When I was a younger teacher, I was really close in age to high school kids, and I did some subbing in high school, and I felt like I was really close in age, and that made it harder for me.
Yeah, I'm not so close in age anymore.
Yeah, right.
So I think when I was student teaching, absolutely, I was 22 years old, and I'm teaching 18-year-olds.
Did you ever get anybody ever say why aren't you in class?
Oh, all the time.
Okay,
yeah. All the time. Yeah.
You have that youthful look.
And they still hear my first year here, some of the
other teachers.
They made a joke about things like that. But not so much. People know who I am now. They're okay, yeah. But also, I'm there's some separation in age, so
that helps.
What
really helps is those gray hairs. When you're fortunate enough to down the gray hair, that sets you apart.
I'll wait. I have a couple.
We won't talk about that on this podcast anymore. So we have a whole list of really cool questions. Let's see. I'll do one. We'll share more of these at our session. But what is one piece of advice you would give to someone in a different career stage than yourself? So, what would you tell me or the old teachers out there that have been teaching for long?
We don't use the word old.
Experience.
I would say just don't ever stop like being interested in learning, or don't close yourself off to new opportunities for learning, or just new opportunities in general. And you never know who you're going to learn something from. I think that's kind of why we wanted to do this session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to say that I would never learn from someone younger than me, but I think our connection of being able to talk about all this pedagogy and things has maybe exceeded what I would think it would be for someone, and the other person that I talk to all the time is Adam Gresham.
Yeah.
And, he's a percussionist. He's been on the podcast before talking about his journey. He's killing it.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's really killing it.
Yeah.
And I learned a ton from him.
Yeah.
And then he said the same for me. So it's like we have that same connection.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So
just don't
colleagues like you.
Yeah, just don't. You never know who you're going to learn from, and there's always new opportunities, and I think that's the advice I would give is just always keep an open mind.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Cool.
and I think a lot of that goes for me too. My advice for really young teachers is start saving money earlier. There's those kind of things like, had I known this, if I just would have, instead of buying an Apple computer in 1993, if I would have just taken that money and put it into Apple stock, I wouldn't be sitting here today in the classroom. I would be on the beach somewhere. But there's those type of things. But those are not regrets. I don't regret where I am.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that.
Yeah.
So very cool.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about our session.
Me too.
It's great for everybody to get to know Jessie, and I will share your email address in the podcast description. So if you ever want to reach out, she's pretty busy right now, but obviously, answer questions or just reach out to her and say hey. But I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, it's fun.
And letting me sit in your office here and do this podcast.
Yes, always welcome.
It's nice. But that's all, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
okay.
We will see you at ASTA.
Yes, come to our session. It's
Friday.
great.
Yeah, Friday at ASTA at 11.
11.
I forget what room we're in, but I think we're in the Dunwoody room.
I think you're right.
I think
Dunwoody
room.
Yeah.
Dunwoody's one of our local cities or municipalities. But it's great to chat with you. And this is our episode number 90. This is episode number 89.
Almost 90.
Almost 90. Yeah, we're almost there. But we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye now.
Thank you for tuning in. For resources and more information, visit orchestrateacher.net.